Hello, this is Dr. Will. In my podcast here, I will explain the word wealth in three different ways. First, on how it's commonly used, then, how it was intended to be used by Old English standards, and of course, how I see the definition of it, and how I can give you simple elements which you could use on your own life and which could be useful for you to define your own wealth type. And therefore, you can move on and create these systems which help you be more wealthy. Overall, the word wealth today is being used in conjunction with rich or having a lot of money or having a lot of things, flashiness, right? If you even Google the word wealth and go to Google Images, you'll see jets, yachts, homes, cars. The word wealthy, right? I mean, you kind of pinpointed with the monopoly guy. Okay, so overall, society has given this word a structure. And to some of you, maybe a good thing, to some, a bad thing, related to selfishness, related to taking away from someone else. To some of you, it's kind of a good thing to having what you want, whenever you want and such. Well, that's the definition per society standards today. Okay. Now I got to go to etymology, which is the way it was intended to be used. This word is Old English, okay, like other words in our language. But overall, it was a combination between weal and health. And health, we know it has to do with vitality, with living a long life, right? But weal is a new word to us, even to me when I looked it up. It really means the interest of that item. So let's say you want to go ahead and be careful for the grill that you're cooking with, and you clean it. You're doing it for its wheel, so the way it can continue to be clean for future use, right? So wheel and health. Wheel for the interest of that thing, and health for the vitality. That's what the intention of the word was supposed to be, wealth. And then it started to be used with rich people and rich lifestyles. And then now we get to my definition. And the reason I say my definition, it's because everyone gives, power to how you see a word, a piece of language, our subjective belief, and it transfers into an objective belief. Well, here I'm hoping to give you my subjective belief, my conclusion upon years of practice in creating these wealth systems, so the way it can attach to yours, and in the way you can be more effective on how to use them. On how to use them. Um, First of all, I will stick with the abundance. I will definitely make that my first element. Element one, the abundance of something or item. A lot of it, plenty of it. Having little of it doesn't sound much of wealth. And please, let's detach this from money for right now, right? An abundance of something, just having a lot of it. And put in your mind as you listen to this podcast what that could be. Let's start with water, for example. Lot of water, okay? And then now you go to my second element, which is the thing that is valuable. So a lot of water that is valuable. Think about it, okay? This means that no, it's not water that is not valuable. It's clean water, let's say. A drinkable water, not water that just came from the rain or from a flood. Water that it's pure that you need. Okay, so that's one and two. One that is a lot of water, and two that is drinkable, let's say. And then the third thing is in a place where much does not have it. Okay. Imagine that huge pool of water that's drinkable. okay, in an area that doesn't have much of it, maybe a desert. Now you hold something important. Now you can even take it and put it into bottles and sell it for a certain price, especially if other areas does not have it. Or maybe you could sell it to a farmer who wants to create with that water. See, that starts to become wealth. That item gave you that wealth. So it translates that you can build with it. It's almost like building blocks to something in the future that you could build more upon more upon more. Important, I say this because I'm going to tie it to my own personal life. Where is my wealth? My wealth does not start with money, and I'll explain that more. My wealth starts with education to me because I try to build an abundance, which in this my case is my degrees. I have multiple degrees, okay, and my MBA, my PhD, and I'm now working on my law degree, okay, and finishing it. But these three I've applied, and I use these value to places that may not have it. My MBA, as such, as to teach students business knowledge. My um, JD, hopefully, to help people and to aid them in their legal rights. And my PhD, most of all, to show people how to be a leader, because that's exactly what a PhD is in leadership studies. And I take this, the abundance of knowledge I have, and that is valuable to others, and I give it to them where they mostly need it. Students that are willing to learn. Like in this case, you listener. My situation is that I have created wealth for myself. And now I can convey this wealth to you by showing you how to apply it. And that's what I plan to do with my education and my wealth background. There's more. My abundance in real estate. I was able to start young and to be able to pay attention to what tactics I use for real estate. And that real estate knowledge, which is valuable to some, I give it to those who don't know, they don't have much of it. You see that? It's truly an application of wealth. And in this podcast is just a medium for me to begin to transfer this wealth of knowledge to you. So it starts to become valuable and you build your own abundance. See how this works? It's getting transferred, and little by little you add and you add and you add more to your abundance pile of knowledge, and then you apply it. You apply that value, and then you give it to an area that doesn't have much of it. And there you go. That's my 3-element system for wealth, which I will implore not to see it as just money. And I'll explain why. Because money alone is not the reason for what you're trying to get to. Money is your fuel. Okay. Imagine if you're trying to travel somewhere. You're trying to travel to, let's say, California. You can have a car, but you will need fuel for it, right? So your desire to go somewhere is there. But the fuel, that's the money. That's what you'll need to get to that place. So when you start to concentrate on just the fuel, it kind of corrupts the idea, all right? You know, you could save more fuel, okay, and not go to California, but that wasn't your point. So you want to not concentrate on the fuel. You will need it. And yes, you will take this wealth of money and use it towards a certain purpose, more than likely. But also, you don't want to overspend your fuel, right? You don't want to take all the fuel that could have gotten you somewhere, because you will never get to your goal. So, yes, we will be speaking about money. I'm not afraid to say the word, but we can't just concentrate on it because it'll be a distraction. It's just like being worried about fuel on a trip. You need it, but that's not the point of it. So try to understand my analogy. Money will be spoken in a medium to get somewhere, as a medium to get to a certain wealth system. Okay. And in your case, wealth for you may mean a family that's absolutely happy and satisfied. Wealth to you may mean um, an educated circle. Okay. Or wealth to you may mean never having to worry. That that could be an abundance of wealth. In a world where worry is so constant, where especially after these post-COVID times, people are not okay. They're not okay mentally. You can be. You can have little stress because you have an abundance of something important in an area that doesn't have it. Congratulations. That is probably your goal, your to get to this situation where you actually have something of it. And again, that is what you need to think about for the word wealth. I also want to define your abundance because it means to have plenty of something. What do you right now have that you have plenty of? You have to kind of think about it. Okay. And if you don't have even something that you have plenty of, okay. Again, don't just think of money. Think of maybe a skill. Maybe you picked up a skill along the way. Maybe you know how to play music. And you put hours and hours into that instrument or that device. Maybe it has something to do with some kind of language you speak that, again, you could use that's valuable, and you could use it somewhere that is not that is needed, that doesn't have much of it, right? Like a court interpreter, for example. And they sometimes need translators in certain languages that they don't have hold of, right? They don't have much hold of, like Arabic or something. See, now you can see the abundance of wealth. Now you can create that wealth system. That's the key to understanding where this abundance can come from. So if you don't have that, or you don't even think it's that highly abundant, now, today is the day where your life changes, because now you concentrate on that abundance, on adding to that abundance, which, please know that your own behaviors can help you with that. Your own decisions can also help you create plans to get to that abundance. And that's mostly important for you. See, some of you are attending college. Some of you, as you go through college, you pick up information. Sometimes you just pick it up to pass your test. And sometimes you pick it up and you don't even need it for the test. So you don't even try to study it. But if you've listened to Dr. Will and you've heard that an abundance of something is key as the first element of the word wealth, now you're paying more attention. Now I'm hoping you go to class and see what that abundance can be. Maybe you pick up that piece of knowledge and you could use it for the future. Maybe you start to be more aware of what you're doing with your time. Because otherwise, you could be spending other times creating some type of abundance that will help you with something else. See, this is key to creating wealth. How you think about it, how you think about wealth in itself. So that way, your daily habit is to add to that abundance. Maybe you start to concentrate on a career that doesn't just give value to your employer, maybe gives value to you. Maybe you are thinking about joining the military, right? And in the military, let's say the army, you have plenty of jobs. And in those jobs, you take what's given to you. But if you're thinking about wealth, you may want to take a job or an experienced position where that job or experience can give you an abundance of knowledge that when you leave the military, it is highly valuable to someone that doesn't have it. Maybe it has to do with internet security. Maybe it has to do with logistics. Something having to do with that experience that, by the way, the military has plenty of resources to give you and teach you. Maybe a combat medic, right? That you could go and take it into the civilian world and you could use it for yourself. Now, please understand, yourself does not mean a future employer. No, to yourself. And this is where the entrepreneurial part usually comes in. Because wealthy people use their value for themselves and sometimes for others, but mostly for themselves. And I think that's the inflation that keeps going and going into your wealth creation system. It gets bigger and bigger. In my case, it was real estate. When I was younger, I left college not knowing what to do. I left my college just heading to a city, and the city was Houston, and it was 2008. And in 2008, I didn't know what to do. I just knew that real estate was where the wealthy people were thinking. And I wasn't far off. It is correct. Most millionaires in the world conduct real estate transactions of some sort. And to explain to you why this happens, that's because where you lay your head, it's valued highly. And most people lay their head somewhere. In fact, everybody does, right? Tonight, you'll be laying your head somewhere. And for you to do that, you'll pay rent, a mortgage, a hotel price, something to someone, okay, to put your head somewhere. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to look into real estate and then begin my knowledge in that system, which took me a while. Now I have an abundance of hours of knowledge, and not just knowledge, practical knowledge which I've picked up along the way, and I'm able to give to others upon their real estate investments, where it could be an Airbnb, where it could be a rental, or it could be their own property that they could still build wealth with. See, that's really the key of wealth creation. You take as you go. You take as you go. Whether it's an experience, in knowledge, in a skill, in any of that, you take as you go. Every day matters because it keeps building and building and building. And the truth is, no tree is built in one day. It takes years. And this may be the exact same way. It's like fitness. People don't get in shape overnight. So what do you try to do? Is you try to learn what you could do every day so you can get to your goal and you can celebrate in the future, right? So in this podcast, you're going to learn that wealth has a lot to do with time, with a time overlay where you've been building and building and building. And it gets to a point that you just have abundance because you've been working at it. Sometimes that abundance comes exponentially, maybe through a social media post, through something that went viral and people know you for, and you get lucky. That's an abundance of likes and views and comments and interaction. Congratulations. Sometimes it happens that fast. Most of the time, that abundance of value upon some area that's rare, that takes years, okay? But only because you worked at it. It doesn't take years because you didn't work at it. It doesn't work that way. You have to hit the time so the clock keeps building and building upon you doing that item that gives you that abundance. Okay. So why do I explain this to you now? So you can change up what you do daily. And if you don't, if you're doing something that's not giving you that abundance, you could be working somewhere where you still don't pick up that skill. You could be doing things where it doesn't give you that experience for you yourself in the future, where you could sell it to some other employer or sell it to a client. Then you need to find it, because wealthy people planned 20 years ago for a tree today. And please know what that statement is, that yes, the best time to build a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best was is today. So you really think about that. If you're listening to this podcast and you want to make a change in your life, do it. First of all, strive for it. Strive for it. Find it and see how you can get to where you need to get to. At that moment, look at my elements. Dr. Will's element of wealth. An abundance is what I'm doing today, new. An abundant thing that I could build. Then is it valuable? And remember, valuable, we'll speak in another podcast, but it really just means is it valuable to someone else? Not to you, but to someone else. And then on top of that, the third element is it something that is rare where you're at or where you're selling it at. See, that's the key to wealth. Those elements you have. And let's talk about these elements of abundance upon any of the companies that have been created. Think about, phones, right? Smartphones only came out maybe around 20, 25 years ago. An idea came about for a smartphone, created an abundance of them in an era that they didn't have them. And having your computer in your pocket became so valuable to people in a time that didn't exist, and it took off. These ideas continue to happen in this same type of scenario. Okay. As long as you get the right ideas that create that abundance and take it to the next level, you're going to be okay. The point is that these podcasts are meant to get you thinking. They're meant to get you to process these elements upon these definitions that have worked in the past. Then that way you can apply them for yourself. You may be working right now. You may be doing a 9 to 5 job, which is okay. Or maybe an 8 to 4, or maybe a little longer than that. You may be a college student that's looking to graduate, and you're really not looking forward to something contemporary. You want something uh, a little more modern than that, or not having to be in an office. And on top of that, you may actually be a stay-at-home father, stay-at-home mother, and then you feel like you could be doing something with your time, even though you're taking care of a loved one. All these scenarios, maybe you're in the military and you want to pick up something you could do in the future when you retire, you become a veteran. All these scenarios have a good way for you to build wealth. I'm going to tell you this. If you're in high school, okay, you have no better time than today, because you even hold more time than most of us. So the way you can pick up this abundance as you go. Please know, most of us are in a good situation to do this, to start to create wealth and to pick up abundance so you could use this abundance for yourself or for your loved ones. The key is to be aware of how to use it, and to use academic principles for your own benefit. I'm a professor, and I can tell you You can pick up these business, law, scientific backgrounds and use them for yourself. It's just that you haven't because you've dismissed them or something that's really not important to you. But the truth is that these research works are helpful for you. My main difference between me and my other counterparts that speak to you about wealth is that I happen to be highly educated. But please know that does not mean I did not build wealth. I used that and I used it and applied it, especially my business background knowledge, on my creation systems, my wealth creation systems. And today, I teach as an adjunct because I can. I go to law school because I can, because it means that I'm able to have an abundance of time to choose wisely where it goes, to travel, to do whatever I need to do in order to create more wealth for myself, more experiences, more things to say to people, to transfer to you, to definitely give you a concept of how all this can work out for you. If I did not have this abundance, I couldn't even make this podcast. So this tells you that I'm trying to portray this to you so that way we can begin a good effort together, a win-win scenario where you can let me know how this knowledge, how this applied knowledge will help you in your own wealth creation systems. And then give me this feedback. And maybe we can together figure what works out for you. But what's most important is to pick up what I have for you, to pick up the years of knowledge I have that I've used not just for my academic side, but for my practical side, and to show you how you can deduce your own type of wealth creation system, which is a whole nother how to this whole what. The what is value. The what is absolutely abundance, wealth. But the how, that's the power of deduction. There's no instruction here, okay? Most people don't instruct you how you're going to make wealth. They're just not going to do it. They're going to instruct you how you're going to make wealth for them. Think about that. Think about a business professor telling you that, okay? Because I do notice the curriculum be about major firms and how you can learn how they can make their own wealth through you. But now you have a business professor telling you, how about you make it for yourself? Is that new? I bet you it is. So if that didn't grab your attention, I don't know what else can. The only thing I do warn you on is that none of this is supposed to be easy. These are outliers. These are exceptional people who listen to podcasts about wealth, who spend their time to make sure they get better at what they do so that way they can apply it for their own lives. That's exceptional. Okay? What's not exceptional is trying to learn how to get wealthy quickly, which to me, I don't know if it exists or not. I'm just not here for those people. I'm also not here to lie to you and to show you a jet and to show you a yacht and me tell you that, hey, this can be you very soon. That's very flashy. And yes, it gets you likes. But I don't think it works. This is why I tell my students there's the truth, objective truth, and what is interesting. And what is interesting sells quickly. But what is truth builds upon itself. So I would love to build an audience of people who want to be builders and every day work at it into their own abundance and get their own ideas. Then they get their families or loved ones involved. So they pass on these abundance issues and situations to them. And then we all learn together as a great wealth class. So the way we can know our own little secrets among each other. And we take it for the future, for other generations to have, or for those who want to listen, to pay attention so they can enjoy the same benefits of an abundance of life and fun. Thank you.